Tonight on Debate Among Friends, we continue as the power struggle saga continues with the NBA refs versus the players, part three, the trilogy. We thought we ended trilogies last year with the Warriors and the Cavs, but we're right back to the trilogies. NFL news, including extensions, releases, and retirements, and more, starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to another edition of Debate Amongst Friends, live on YouTube and on Twitch. I am your host with the most, the guy who always make people go bye-bye off the top of the Hell in a Cell. I am the Professor John Gotti, and always by my side, the Chris Hero to my Johnny Gargano, delivering B-dorms on a daily basis to those that deserve it and those that wish for it. It's Doc Trevor Ocean. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't believe you went bye-bye on them, but, that's neither here nor there.
I mean, you started off with,
Trilogies,
so I kind of had to do something to, make you feel better about it.
I mean, I feel like everything is starting to be trilogy. I mean, you think about it. If we continue to see the same things over and over and over, I mean, will there be anything new? Nothing's new these days.
Of course not.
Everything's just a repeat of what we've seen already.
Well, the problem is people enjoy things being so repetitive. They see something and it hasn't, changed in centuries. They want to keep it that way, and any and all things that disrupt that mentality, they're going to rebel against.
Well, this is what I'll say. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
I see what you did there.
Well, we got some interesting topics to discuss tonight. I think we should just jump right into it with these NBA refs and these NBA players battling, really, for position. Boxing each other out almost, you'll say.
I mean, first of all, I barely even see NBA players box people out anymore, but that's just me. But, I mean, this situation is getting intriguing, I guess you could say. The latest and greatest of this situation is LeBron James, and his complaining of the lack of calls to the line.
No, the one thing I read is that he said that jump shooters are getting the calls.
Yes, many things were said, actually. Not just by
That's
him,
one thing that stuck out.
but by many other analysts. They were saying the jump shot is sexy.
Wow.
Compared to driving in the lane now.
Wow. That's unbelievable. The jump shot's always
and it just so happened as soon as that person said that statement, the first clip they showed was James Harden getting a foul called while shooting a three. That was the first image they showed.
I mean, I don't know, of course, and this is not pre-planned, so I don't know what your answer is going to be, but, I mean, was it a foul at least?
Of course it was a foul.
Then, I mean, hey, come on.
I mean, sometimes people just like to be salty just to be salty.
I mean, if that's what it is, that's what it is. I mean, if it was a foul, it was a foul. I mean,
it was a foul. The defender, left his feet, collided to James Harden. James Harden threw it up.
I'm okay with that. I don't even know what else. Like, what else would you say to that? I mean, LeBron James is physical, and I think we talked about this off stream,
And we'd have,
and
and this
we
is the
want the people
perfect
to
opportunity
know.
to talk about. This is the perfect time to talk about it.
Yeah, we want the people to know that we try our best to keep the content on the show. So I mean, we be chopping at the bits to talk about some of these topics, and there's no question about it. LeBron drives the lane, and I'm almost positive that the referees have no idea whether to call charge, whether to call blocking. So a lot of times they just let it roll. I mean, most of the time LeBron comes in and he's throwing his body.
That's
Like,
what I've been saying for the longest. Like, there's been so many times I'm watching his games and I'm looking at it unbiasedly, and the first thing
mhm,
that I'm looking at is why are the refs not calling offensive fouls? He is throwing his arms to make more space.
right. And Shaq used to get called for that.
Shaq get called for that all the time.
Shaq got called for that a lot. So to me, it's like, to sit here and say, hey, I'm not getting the calls. I think it's time for the superstars to stop getting the calls. I mean, that's always been, an issue.
That has
If
been
you
an
jump,
issue.
if you, and I think I've seen it now where, if you jump into a player, sometimes they are calling an offensive foul now, where
Yep.
before, a lot of people were getting away with that.
Kobe,
I think
Dwayne Wade.
Kobe, yeah. But it's like, let's think about this. The game is evolving. People are getting faster. They're getting stronger. And hey, they're full-time basketball players.
They're playing basketball out there.
But to complain about getting fouls, I mean, I was always taught to take the refs out of the game.
Exactly. I mean,
And
let's even take that line a step further. We've been taught, and the way that we played basketball when we played was to just absorb the contact, play, and try to make the basket anyway.
absolutely.
I
And
mean,
that's the only way I know.
you know the torment that I went through playing at Lincoln Park at Acorn
Absolutely.
all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like
I don't know.
compared to the way that some of the superstars, and we're not saying that they're SAWFT soft,
We're not.
but we're saying the complaining is making them seem SAWFT soft.
I agree.
Because
I
even playing collegiately, you know, certain people have to almost get killed, a la playing in the '90s, to just get a foul call.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you can't even
That is
you
true.
can't even put a body on the people driving the ball anymore.
No, you can't. But basketball players nowadays, though, they're a little softer than they used to be. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. They're definitely a little softer. But hopefully, I mean, if things continue, things will get better. Obviously, LeBron isn't adapting to the game. I can't say that. I'll take that back. I'll take that back. I'm gonna take it
No.
back.
I
Let
was
me
about to
take it
call. I
back.
was about to call shenanigans right there.
He has changed his game because his jump shot is a little better from when he came in to the league. He can
I
hit a
will
little
admit
bit
that.
more of a jump
I will
shot.
admit that.
But yeah, see, you're about to destroy me there.
I was like, get out. Nope, that's like $20 into the jar. Helen, get the jar out here
Yeah.
right now.
No, we're not gonna do that. But I mean, I just feel like it's just one of them situations where, hey, listen, LeBron has developed a great game, a great overall game, and at one point he has to realize, hey, I am the quote unquote best player in the world. This is his saying, not me, his saying. I'm the best player in the world. Everybody agrees that I'm the best player in the world. I'm not saying that I need the calls, but what I'm saying is I'm getting fouled out there and I should get the calls. And I guess that's where, the debate comes in. Yeah, that's where the debate comes in.
So
It's tough. It's tough. That's all. I mean, that's really it. It's tough.
and while I can understand, yes, the referees definitely need to do a better job, but the referees are human. We make the same kind of issue, the same kind of claims about the referees, the judges of the National Football League.
We do.
When they blow a big call, especially as we'll talk about later on about what is and isn't a catch, and
Right.
if they need to use the postcards to
Oh my
determine
God!
first
Don't talk
down.
about. Oh my God! Don't talk about postcard. You saw that guy pull out his credit card bill.
Like he pulled out the BAT credit card, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my
The
God!
BAT credit card.
Wow.
But, back to my point though.
Sure.
The refs are human too, but
Of course.
are we really going to sit here and try to say that LeBron is making a good case about not getting calls where he has consistently gotten calls all the time for a good chunk of his career, if not his entire career? I mean, we have people saying, well, LeBron James is basically getting killed out there, and no one, not Doc, not Prof, not Duke and everyone else here at Debate Amongst Friends, is gonna ignore the fact that he basically won the 2012 NBA championships
Mm-hmm.
against the Thunder for getting a lot of calls. But we're
I
gonna
can
forget
agree
about
with
that,
that.
right?
I can agree with that.
I mean, let's not, and you dubbed it the Carlos Boozer,
Hey.
way
was
of
rough.
playing. Like it made basketball unfun to watch because they just drive in the lane, flare their hands up in the air, and say hey, and they get a foul.
Yeah.
Phantom fouls and stuff. But
Nah, it was
but we're supposed to forget about that though. We're
That was
supposed to
definitely
forget
rough.
about that though.
No, it was definitely. There's no question about it. It was definitely rough. I think that it's interesting. And of course, it's not just LeBron. I know a lot of people are going to say James Harden creates a lot of the contact. I think people have gotten to the habit of now, as an offensive player, they're grabbing the defensive player
Mm-hmm.
in contact and then flailing their arms.
Which I
And
won't
I
lie,
don't-
that will frustrate the crap out of me.
But it should also teach people to play proper defense also. If your hands are out and
They're not
somebody's,
gonna grab you.
Yeah,
Well,
like
see,
if you're here,
see,
but see, that's the thing. If you're moving your feet, you got to move your feet too.
there's been times though your boy, Mr. Beard himself, James Harden, has definitely gotten around a defender as they had their hands up in the proper defense position and brought it down and still got the call.
No, I'm not buying that. Not
Yes.
up here.
Yes.
Not all the way up here. No way.
Yes.
I don't believe that. Then that person needs to get in the gym.
Exactly.
That has nothing to do with James Harden. That person needs to get in the gym if that's the case.
But
Um,
but back to the point though, I agree with you. They do need to relearn how to play proper defense. Being able to move their feet to get to the point, of collision. So it could become more of a 50-50 call instead of a 25-75 favoring the offensive player.
Sure.
A great example of that was the Sunday matinee game of the Cavs against the Spurs, where Kyle Anderson made it to the spot, and the refs didn't call anything because he made it to the spot.
right.
Like, it could have easily been a charge, it could have easily been a blocking foul, but the fact that he made it to the spot and made it much more difficult for LeBron to score,
Yeah.
I applaud it because he played the right defense. That and plus, St. Anthony's, but that's besides the point.
Cool. But no, I mean, I just think that's got to be it. Like when you think about it, guys have just got to play better defense. And if they're playing that defense, then I mean, it really shouldn't be anything else to it. Honestly, me personally, I've always been a physical defensive player. Like I mean, I'm getting up in there. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, I'm gonna work as hard as I can. And if I have to foul, that's what we get 6 for.
Unless you're playing 21 or taps or however you want to call it.
Then there are no fouls, so you know you about to get hacked in
Oh
the app.
yes.
Without question. So, I mean, absolutely. I just believe that, I mean, honestly, man up. Honestly, that's all
Well,
I can really say.
I mean, but let's elaborate on that though. I mean, you're someone who's been in the league for about 5 years,
Hmm.
and you're not really happy with the way that the rest are refereeing the game because you think that you're a pretty good defender, but you're not getting the benefit of the calls. What more do a defender like that have to do to get a little bit more recognition when it comes to game time? You know,
Well,
wham bam, thank you ma'am kind of calls.
the one thing that I've noticed is that when you start making your shots, it's easier to combat getting like if you let's say you're making a shot. So Steph Curry's making shots, LeBron makes shots, Kyrie, James Harden. These guys they make a lot of their shots. So if all of a sudden they shoot an air ball, all right, they might have tapped him on the elbow that one time, possibly. That happens quite often.
It does.
But even if it doesn't, and the person shoots an air ball, the benefit of the doubt kicks in, and that's where human kicks in. Like, hey, if this person shoots an air ball, most likely he was fouled. Let's just go with it. You good with that? I think I'm good with that. You good with that? I'm good with it too. It's a foul. You know what I mean? Like that's the way the referees seem to call it. To me, when I'm watching, that's the way they look to call it. It's all coincidental. It's all, hey, I think that really happened. It happened. To me, when I look at it. I don't know how anybody else looks at it, but when I see it, I always feel like it's tic tac. I don't feel like it's anything big. It's always small, stupid fouls.
I
And I'm
I
sure, like,
I will agree with
yeah,
one thing you definitely said. Ticky tack fouls definitely it needs to go.
there are no
It's,
hard fouls, so they're all tic tac. Come on, ain't
there's
no hard
no
fouls.
no such thing as hard fouls anymore.
They're
Like
flagrant ones and
just
twos
yeah,
now. That's why.
exactly. There's no such thing as a hard foul. There's no such thing as a playoff foul anymore. Someone gets knocked to the ground going up for a shot. You know, oh, everyone has to meet right there where it happens. Now it's a skirmish.
Right.
Really? To say, okay, foul, 2 shots, let's keep it moving. No, they have to stop gameplay.
It's a lot of. I guess it's a lot of money, being distributed now, and they don't want to hurt their investments. That's what it's all about now. The money. It's all about the money. But I mean, I think that it's something that we definitely should keep looking into. I definitely think that it's definitely something that I want to keep an eye on because I'm a Rockets fan. So to me, I'm always look at it just to see what's really going on. But I mean, we're definitely going to see what happens. Let's continue to watch it, and hopefully, we get something good out of it.
That's a big hope too.
That's all we can really do is hope that we get a good, you know, like I don't want it to come down where James Harden is driving for us to make it to the second round of the playoffs, and all of a sudden I can clearly see that he's hacked and the call doesn't happen. But then again, I don't want it to be the reverse. Where hey, he's on defense and he actually plays great defense and
hmm
he gets called for a foul. So I definitely get it.
I mean, so before we move on,
Sure.
if you had to go up to Commissioner Silver and tell him one thing about this issue that you feel can help rectify or at least get the conversation started to mend the rift between the players and the rest, what would the one thing be, sir?
If I had to say something,
If you had to give Adam Silver one piece of advice, what would that be to help begin that remending of the relationship?
I would play a clip of Denzel and Remember the Titans and tell him to let the boys play. Let the boys play. I just wouldn't call them cheaters.
That's a different discussion for a different day, right
It
there.
is. I wouldn't call them cheaters, but I would just let the boys play. Let the boys play. I mean, that's it. How about yourself? What would you tell them?
I mean, honestly,
Yeah, give it to them straight. No chasers.
I never, I never give people bad news with kid gloves on. Um, I mean, honestly, I would remove the 2 minute report and turn that into the full game report. That way, you make the referees way more responsible for the calls they do during the game instead of just the last 2 minutes of the game.
Gotcha. I can agree with that.
Because
Definitely.
while the last 2 minutes is critical for any sport, let's just be honest,
Yeah.
um, things that happen during the game, and we've had examples where a big call was made that even though they said it didn't necessarily impacted the final of the game, it
Mm-hmm.
does have a good impact on the flow of the game.
Momentum.
Yes, like it could be a momentum
Momentum.
shifter or a momentum killer.
Absolutely. I can agree with that.
So I think having them be accountable for the calls they make throughout the entire game, or maybe even just the second half, can get things started a little bit more better to increase the quality of the game that people pay hard on cash to watch,
Mm-hmm.
as well as you know decrease the amount of complaining that happens. That being said, eh. I mean, if I had to think of one more other thing, now that I'm thinking of different solutions, um, I read one article. I think it was by CBS Sports, about how they believe that bringing in one more referee into the games would help decrease the amount of mistakes that they make. But I kind of gotta disagree with that. I feel like having one more referee actually just causes more problems because now their expectations become too high, and the results currently are already so low for the referees as far as the calls that they make, including one more. That's just gonna hurt just the reputation of the game. Um, I say that to bring this into account. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want a little bit more cameras where we can get faster results. Not necessarily having replays, but we're getting towards the we're getting towards a point to where our technology can allow us to see things quicker than the human eye. And with these cameras, they can catch a lot of these calls that happen, and what I think is feed that information straight to referees so they can make that call.
You know what I find is interesting? Like, and maybe I haven't looked close enough, but NBA officials, they've never worn like earpieces.
Nope.
Like, so that could be something to implement, earpieces. So instead of, you know, having to get together, you know what I mean? Like, hey, watch this, hey, watch this, somebody's doing this, or hey, watch this, somebody's doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that could help. But I think I agree, technology definitely could play a part and should play a part. Um, and I think that would be a good recommendation. But I think ultimately for us, what caused potentially this whole debate and discussion was Shannon Sharp's comments.
Yes.
And I mean, Shannon also is somebody who kind of just gives it to us. They don't. He doesn't pull any punches. Let's just put it like that.
Yes.
So with it, either his Hennessy or his quote unquote Philly or blunt,
Oh my God.
uh, he's gonna give it to us. But he's the best player in the world, and I get it. But he's probably the only person who could make a complaint and it actually get changed just because of him.
So LeBron James is the Tom Brady of the NBA.
Exactly.
I was just making sure that that's what you were saying. I was just making sure that's exactly what you were saying.
That is absolutely perfect. For nobody else, Tom can get it done.
Yep.
For nobody else, LeBron can get it done. And I guess that's just how it is. He brings in a lot of money too, so they don't want him to leave, or they gotta elevate somebody else to have them have that power. Kobe had that power.
Kobe that really didn't have that much power when it comes to that kind of influence. If you really think about it,
I think that Kobe didn't really. I don't think Kobe had power. I don't think Kobe utilized his power as much as he should have, and he probably would have had a funner time in the NBA if he did. I think Kobe probably had a lot of power.
Kobe just wanted to win, though. He didn't care.
Oh, that's another reason he didn't complain, because he was winning.
He embraced those kind of challenges, though. For Kobe, he's like, if I can overcome all these other obstacles, as well as the 5 people on the other side of the court trying to prevent me from scoring 81 points on them, then I'm the best ever. I don't need to complain. I make my actions do the talking.
And I mean, that's an old school way of thinking, though. And NBA players today aren't thinking that way. They're thinking me, me, me. How can I get mine? If other people are basically cheating me, how can I get mine?
Yep.
And I mean that's pretty much the norm. People want to get to point A to B, but they really feel like they can get to A to C and skip B without the work. You know what I mean? And really, when you think about it, this whole thing with the East Coast, Eastern Conference that we always talk about, it's so weak. So LeBron's always had it easy. We talk about this easy, and it's not his fault. But I mean, we can't give him a pass for that.
Nope.
So I mean, it's just something to keep in mind and for us to take into consideration when we talk about the greatest. That's all.
Okay, so before we even move on, I'm so glad that you mentioned the whole greatest conversation. What was your thoughts on Eddie House, a former teammate, and of course they had to highlight that part, former teammate of LeBron James, when he said that LeBron is not the greatest of all time? He said if you compare him and Jordan, it's Jordan. So your boy, my boy, everyone's boy, the Philly smoking, Hennessy drinking, Hall of Famer, Shannon Sharp, decided to shift his argument like every other Bron-sexuals, aka LeBronomaniacs, to, well, what about Kareem? What about Bill? What about Magic?
Well, Kareem's always my number one answer. I don't care what nobody says, but
I still believe it's still Bill Russell.
And I'm okay with that.
And I've been on record saying that.
Yeah, I've always said I've never shifted from Kareem. But when we're talking about just Jordan versus LeBron, I always go with Jordan because I just felt like Jordan just did it better.
He did do it better.
It was just done better. It was
and I just love the argument. They just keep saying, well, Jordan, he kept losing in the first round. I'm like, yeah, he kept losing in the first round against Hall of Famers.
Right.
Like, yeah, you would have a hard time playing off against those bad boy Pistons. You would have a hard time playing off the juggernaut that was the Boston Celtics. Absolutely. If anything else, it just shows how he overcame.
But Jordan also wasn't complaining to about the referees.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, and mind you, he was still playing in an era where hand checking was allowed.
Right.
But I just love hearing that argument. Well, Jordan, who did Jordan face in the NBA Finals that had 4 All-Stars? What?
they played against two Hall of Famers that had the Jazz. Excuse me, the Jazz was the team that I was going to say. They had two Hall of Famers, John Stockton and Karl Malone, on the team, and how could you even say that?
I mean, and someone tried to put Jeff Hornacek name into it. Someone tried to use Jarek Ostertag, like, but
Come on.
everyone laughs about it. But you know, it was a team effort. It wasn't just Malone and Stockton making it happen. You know, no one wants to talk about the Trailblazers.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know, but
they
it's
were
more.
good. They
It's
were
more.
good. They were
It's more.
team basketball.
It was more because of their attitude. That's why no one really gives them the credit that they deserved.
They had Drexel still at that time, didn't they?
They did.
I'm a big Clyde fan,
They did.
but
Of course, you know they give Jordan the pass for his first championship against the Magic, the Lakers, with the old Magic, using air quotes on ode.
I feel like this topic is just taking us well off. I mean, we were talking about referees.
Well,
Let's
and I mean once we start using the Brony himself. Ooh, that's a good nickname.
wow.
Let's just call him the Brony. Like once you start talking about that, it's just teeters off from there. It's consistently been like that.
So what happens when LeBron retires?
They're gonna have at least a 3 to 5 year dark period because there's really no one's ready to take the title of being the face of the league yet. Um,
Okay,
and based off of just people's perspective of who should be the face of the league, because of course I would say KD as well too, but human nature and salty Cavaliers fans, if they lose this year again, is going to say, well, he's a snake. He left to play with a team that won 73 games the year prior.
right. What about somebody, the James Hardens, the Russell Westbrooks?
No, no, that's what makes it hard. That's what makes it hard.
So the Rockets win the finals this year.
If the Rockets win the championship and LeBron James announces his retirement afterwards, there is a great argument that James Harden should be the face of the league. I will agree with that.
Okay, I just want to make sure
Because
you weren't being a beer hater.
he, like a certain big dog, retired the guy who owned the yard.
Wow,
If you think about it like that.
absolutely. I don't want to think about the big dog, but absolutely.
But you get what I'm saying, though. Like,
I
that's
do.
the only way a James Harden or Russell Westbrook would be the face of the league. They would have to beat LeBron in the finals, and LeBron has to retire after the finals. Like, it's 0-0-0 on the clock. The confetti's coming down for that team. LeBron is walking to center court, takes off his jersey and put it on center court and walks away. That's what I'm saying has to happen in order for either of those two people to become the face of the league.
Then does an interview a few months later with the jersey on, and leaves and gives a cryptic
A cryptic message, yes!
Wow. Let us move on, sir. That's ridiculous. We're just mixing. We're just mixing Debate About Francis Market out.
But the analogy is there, though.
It is.
Like, despite how hilarious that is, like, the analogy holds true. If and you hear analysts talk about the next person up would be someone like Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns. They even kind of whispered about Joel Embiid a little bit. So they're trying to make it be a big guy. to be the new face of the league, not necessarily a guard. They even threw KP's name into the bucket after his rookie year.
I would say if he develops a jump shot, Giannis would probably be the next guy.
And I would be so happy if it was Giannis. I love his game.
Yeah, it would be Giannis. But I look forward to that next wave of players. And we got some good players coming out of college, of course. But I look forward to it. And this is the last thing I'll say about the Cavs, who will probably own a top 3 or 4 pick in the draft with the Nets pick. It would be ironic, and you just let me know. If LeBron does retire, they're getting that number 1 overall pick.
Oh, absolutely. And well, no. I can't say that's a guarantee anymore. If the Angel of Stern was still in power, it'd be a guarantee. It'd be a guarantee that the Cavaliers had the number 1 pick. Not so much now.
And I know we talked about tanking last week, but I guess there's some fines that are going to be handed out if there's even a suspicion of tanking. So, shout out to Silver.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't think he's going to allow something like that to happen. That would make me very, very happy if that didn't happen. Because I was pissed off when it happened when LeBron took his talents to South Beach.
Oh, and they got Kyrie.
And they got 2 or 3 top 3 picks.
I wasn't saying anything. I thought you were finishing a point.
I was already finished with the thought.
I thought you were going to say that who those picks were. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
I only remember Kyrie. I know they blew the other ones.
Anthony Bennett.
Right.
And Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins. That's who okay. Which Wiggins.
Which I believe they're all 3 were number 1 picks.
If he can stay healthy, I don't think he's going to stay with Minnesota, but if he can stay healthy, I think he might be something. Maybe.
I think Minnesota has the chance to do something you haven't seen since, the Warriors when they won their first title.
Wow.
And that is to build a good core full of young, talented people. I mean, granted, Jimmy Butler is out right now, but they have the potential to do something big. And they have athletic people, not just people who can shoot, athletic people who can defend the crap out of you, should they choose to do so. I think they can make the NBA fun.
Question is Tibbs the right coach?
I think Tibbs would be better as an assistant instead of the head. While Tibbs is great as a defensive-minded coach, they need someone to get them over that hump. Kind of, and I don't like using this analogy, but kind of what happened with Mark Jackson. But instead of them getting rid of him, if they would have just demoted him to an assistant coach, I think they would have had a three-peat on their hands, in my opinion.
It's tough.
Because he had that locker room. And, Steve Kerr has a locker room still. It's a little bit dicey because now egos are starting to stew in there. But Mark Jackson had that locker room.
I think it's different when you think about it. Nobody on that team was a superstar.
Nope.
So they had a bunch of great players. Some of them at the time, if they were on a different team, would just be another role player.
Yep.
But their rise to stardom, and I'll give credit to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Some people who took a back seat, like Andre Iguodala, they worked on their game. I mean, Steph could not stay on the court for nothing the first couple years of his career.
Yeah, the weak ankles.
He couldn't. He couldn't stay on the court. He definitely wasn't draining the three point like he is now.
No, no. I mean, he was draining him in college with Davidson, but
Not
not to the
like that.
extent that he's doing right now. Like he
I mean,
obviously improved his jump shot. He definitely went to a specialist shooter to find the right way to lift off, uh, push the ball off, add the spin behind the ball,
yes.
as well as develop the proper angle from the ball leaving the tip of his fingers to the bottom of the net.
And it's so crazy because he could shoot it from
His range is literally
40 feet. Like,
his
it's
range
ridiculous.
is as soon as he crosses the half court line, everyone on the court is his range.
Right. And it's almost like his muscle memory is so. It's like the best memory I've probably ever seen.
It's definitely one of the best shooting methodology that I've ever seen in my life. Hands down. The best shooting methodology of my life.
I mean, we could just say definitely number one on a top five dead or alive, and that's
Oh, I see what you did
OP.
there. Top 5 NBA shooters of all time.
Might have to get that going.
I mean, I think that'd be a great subject for the people to hear about.
And we'll be starting that very, very shortly. And
Yes.
stay tuned. You can now find all of our shows now: iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Music Play. Is it Google Music Play
It's
or Google
Google.
Play
It's
Music?
Google Music.
Just Google Music.
Yes,
Because when I
it's
look
it's
at
Google Play. It's like Google Play Music. It's something like that.
I hate that it has Play in there, but they can find us on Google Play Music, iTunes, separated by shows.
Separated by
So you
shows.
have Debate Among Friends, Marking Out Among Friends, which is our wrestling podcast. You got Duke It Out, which is our world events podcast, and hopefully expanding with more from the likes of others.
I mean, I would love a little baseball in my life.
A little soccer, a little hockey,
A little bit of hockey. Talking about some Winter Olympics.
something,
Talking some curling.
please.
Shouts to the U.S. curling team for winning gold, by the way.
I know. We're gonna have to switch topics soon, very soon. But
Yes, it's been about an hour now, so I think it's definitely
Yeah.
around time for us to move topics now.
I was gonna say the one thing I'll say, is, and my wife was very, very excited about it. The love for Korean pop music at the closing
Hmm.
of the Olympics. She was in here just jumping up and down, so excited to see some of her favorite artists out there.
Well, I mean,
But
she kind of popped, or dare I say, marked out for 2 instances of Korean culture being showed on mainstream. The other one was at a certain movie that we all watched
it's
when
true.
the prof was out there in Raleigh.
I did not expect that scene, and I don't know if you've seen the scene breakdown
Hmm.
with with the director, but of course you don't notice it. But I mean, there are some such dominating traits, but just hearing the Korean language spoke, and here in the Ocean household, we watch a lot of Korean dramas, so just hearing the actual language spoken in the movie, it was interesting.
Yes. Yes. It was a incredible movie. Can't wait for the Duke to give his review on the movie.
Yeah, I look forward to the Duke going over it as well. Multiple topics. Like, we try not to do politics, movies, things that just fall out of the realm of sports. but Duke It Out is a great platform for it, and we can't wait for him to talk about Black Panther.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But we got some NFL, for the first time in a couple of weeks, some extensions, some releases, some retirements. Nothing that's jumping out of left field or right field. Everything's kind of, I'll say straightforward, obvious,
Expecting.
I will say I was a little shaky on the Blake Bortles extension. I would have thought they would have considered tagging him.
I don't know why they didn't franchise tag them. I'm trying to think of who else on their team is a free agent, though, that needs to be a priority over him because they can't get a contract done.
I think it was just a wide receiver, Allen Robinson, who spent most of the year hurt.
I could see why they would want to franchise tag him over Blake Bortles, though. I mean, do you feel like Allen Robinson would have made a big difference for them?
Honestly, I think the production that they got from their receivers, I don't think it was necessarily important because Leonard Fournette was playing so well. I think next year, and I guess that's where it comes in, next year it might be really, really big for him to be there.
Yep.
But the wide receiver market, I think, is going to be big because they could trade for Martavius Bryant because obviously the Steelers are trying to get rid of him. Mm-hmm. There are some players that are going to be just free. I know Terrell Pryor is not working out in Washington, so I know the Browns are going to be trying to get him back. I just think that it might be good to test the market. The draft is coming up, so you never know what you can get in the draft. But I was just surprised by that. Some of the other things, the Jets releasing Muhammad Wilkerson, I think with the development of Leonard Williams and some of their other defensive linemen that they've drafted over the years, it was obvious they were going to get rid of one of them, and Wilkerson was somebody they were teetering with. Matt Forte retiring, not really surprised.
Not really surprising.
He was getting older, and I don't think the Jets was the right team for him. Initially, I thought it was going to be a great fit, but it just didn't work out. And then, of course, the 49ers and the Panthers, moving on from their running backs. Frank Gore is getting older. Well, he's been older, I guess.
You mean the Colts?
Oh, yeah, I did put 49ers here. Wow. That's how bad it is. It is the Colts. Wow, I skipped past the Colts and put 49ers. I literally wrote 49ers here, too. Yes, the Colts. Wow. The Colts.
Because he was the Trent Richardson of the Colts.
Yes, he was the Trent Richardson of the Colts. No, he did good for the Colts. He did 600 times better than Trent Richardson did. 600 times.
This is true.
But if Trent Richardson went to the Cowboys, that would be something completely different.
Oh my gosh.
Stand by that. And then, of course, Jonathan Stewart, released by the Panthers, who I believe, oh, God, I think you passed some of that stuff through Skype to me here.
Hilarious.
I think the Panthers, based on reports, they might be interested in Doug Martin, which I could understand why they would be. He might be a little faster than Jonathan Stewart, a little stronger. And I think him... or maybe they want to give it to McCaffrey and let him go full time.
Which I think would be very fun to watch.
It would be.
Especially as McCaffrey heads into his second year.
That is true. And then I think the most interesting one, Bears looking to release Mike Glennon after giving him all that money last year.
It was literally a Matt... Okay, you remember Matt Flynn.
I do.
You remember what happened with Matt Flynn.
I do. He played that one good year, and then the next year he got that inflated
No,
contract.
no, 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 no. Not even
Not one
one
year.
good
He
year. It
played a
was
couple
one
games.
good game. It was one game. One game he threw for 6 TDs.
He came in for Rodgers, didn't he?
Yes! He started for Rodgers. He started for Rodgers. They already clinched in the playoffs.
Hmm.
And the Seahawks gave him buku money, and he never even saw the field because Russell Wilson.
And I thought he was going to be good. I mean, but Russell's,
He's special.
Russell is Russell. Yeah, he is special. All right, so those things happen. There were some trades that happened. I think the Chiefs.
The Chiefs made 2 trades.
And their what's that?
The Chiefs made 2 trades.
But I mean, the one that's sticking out, of course, is the Marcus Peters trade. Alex Smith, I felt that was just disrespectful to me and this football business. But Marcus Peters, I know that there was some back and forth. I don't think his personality didn't fit there.
Nope.
His personality fits more with a team like the Seahawks, a more vocal group. But I think
that enjoys singing it as well as bringing it.
You're killing it right now. You are killing the game. But I think that leaves them a little short, and they're definitely probably going to go in the secondary with their draft picks and free agency. They also cut Darrelle Revis,
which I'm not surprised about either because he really didn't do anything for them.
He signed at the end of the year. I mean, I didn't think that he would be able to, have that much of an impact. But I mean, they're short now. That's 2 corners. They got to replace.
Corners.
I was just clearing my thoughts.
Okay.
Don't worry. I was gonna say I also read that Odell Beckham Jr. potentially wants $20 million a year.
I'm
Fair.
laughing.
Wow.
I'm actually laughing because of that. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr. This is gonna piss off a lot of Giants fans.
Uh-oh. He's 25 now.
Odell Beckham Jr. has the potential to either become a great wide receiver or Dez Bryant.
Oh, wow, I can't believe you just said that.
Did I not just say that Giants fans are not going to be happy about what I just said?
I think Giants and Cowboy fans can't believe you just said that.
Well, Cowboys fans is always pissed off at me, so whatever. Just another day in the neighborhood. For me, it was just Tuesday.
Wow. So, speaking of Dez, I mean, does he stay? Does he go? I mean, what do you think?
I think in his heart he wants to stay there. I think all of his teammates want him to stay as well too. The passion, the interviews he's been doing on Dallas radio the past week or so is, enhancing the very same thoughts that I'm conveying right now. But the fact of the matter is he has to take a pay cut to stay. I don't think he's willing to do that, especially if Odell Beckham Jr. somehow, some way get $20 million. He is not going to take a pay cut. He's going to be sitting up there at the Star in Frisco, and he's going to say, I decided to take my talents to Washington.
Oh, my God. I almost died.
Or actually, the worst would be, I decided to take my talents to Philly.
Oh, my goodness.
Now that
would be rough.
That would be bad.
I think he would probably wind up with a team. I could see Dez, if he settled down, he could be really successful in a team on a team like Pittsburgh.
I think he'd be really even more successful if he was at a team like Green Bay.
I don't think so. I don't think he's not. I don't think his route running is good enough for Aaron Rodgers. Like at this point, I think Jordy is just cut from a different cloth.
Oh well, we're not talking about someone to give him route running. We're talking about a potential second. Oh gosh, not even second coming of this person, but someone who has the potential to be the next Randy Moss.
Dez?
Potential, I said.
Oh,
potential.
Oh, you're killing me, sir. This is ridiculous. Are you serious right now?
I am not serious. I am trolling so hard right now.
I'm like, oh my god, somebody please call an ambulance. Oh my god.
It's like, okay, we're gonna need to cut off the professor's mic right now because he is speaking absolute nonsense.
I was like, Randy Moss. Oh, go disrespectful. But I mean, obviously, there's a chance that Dez could be gone. I don't blame him for not wanting to take a pay cut. He's 29. Still,
he hasn't had a good receiving season since I want to say 2015, maybe 2014.
But I guess it depends on who you ask.
We already know. If it's a Cowboys fan, especially J5, they're going to say he's a top 5 receiver every year.
Top 5. And that's just not true. It's just not true.
But if you ask, literal football savants, they'll say that he's not a top 5 receiver. They'll say he looks like a top 5 receiver. But looks and production is two totally different things, ladies and gentlemen.
It's so funny. Speaking of J5, he actually commented on one of our posts on Facebook, which of course people can follow us at Debate Among Friends, in a topic that we were going to cover anyway. Yep. And he is the local, I guess, Cowboys fan, or he used to be the local Cowboys fan that we would go to. But the committee says that the Dez Bryant play should be a catch in the future, which is ridiculous because it wasn't a catch.
It wasn't a catch at all.
It was like I couldn't even believe in the Super Bowl we were questioning whether that was a catch.
The Zach Ertz catch?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
I mean, but it leads to a great question. It's something that, a lot of people was asking us on Twitter at Debate Amongst Fra. They said, Professor, asked the doc this question. And then, of course, I'm at my own spin to it. Is the NFL becoming SAWFT? And if so, what can they do to prevent them from becoming TAS ... trash?
I guess just tell people to go wait for the XFL. I mean, that's it. I mean, and Vince is coming in at a good time because
he is coming at a good time.
I mean, there's so many ridiculous rules. I think the one thing I don't like is that he's going to own all the teams. That's kind of weird. They're going to be paid based on their performance rather than just be getting a salary. That's kind of weird too. I think the rules are probably going to be different.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to see how that plays, though. Getting paid based off their performance versus just the salary.
Think about it like this. If you've seen Any Given Sunday, you remember when Julian Washington went in there and said, hey, coach, he's changing the plays in the huddles, the plays that you call that I love. He's changing the plays. Not audibling, but changing the plays. Mm-hmm. And the other coach said, well, the truth of the matter is, if you don't get your touchdowns, you can't do your chip and dip commercials now, can you? And that's how the conversations are going to go. Give me the ball. I need to get paid. but it's going to be so weird because there's going to be. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Ooh.
I take it back.
I think we just went on the same wavelength right there.
I shouldn't say it.
We just went on the same wavelength. You about to shoot out a massive shot to those players about to join the XFL. You about to cause them to slide into our DMs and rip us a new one because of that potential comment, sir.
Nope. Moving on. But I guess it should be a catch in the future. I was gonna say there are gonna be no fugitives in the XFL, but I said no. It's neither here nor there. I'm sorry.
Well, fugitives is one thing, but former
no records, no nothing like.
But being caught using some kind of HGH is totally different. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen.
That'll probably be accepted.
Oh no, you know why I said that, right?
Of course.
Okay. Chris, do you know what we're talking about? It might be on marking out this week. Okay, he gets it.
Or maybe not.
He probably doesn't. I think he just shake his head yes, just so he could be involved.
But the XFL hopefully is exciting. But the NFL, because they get the best talent, again, another WWE reference.
Mm-hmm.
They get the best talent. You expect the best product.
Yes. But just because you have the best talent doesn't necessarily equate you're going to get the best
results and performance.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, we would talk about that on marking out, but we have a lot of Romanites on there.
Romanites. So, I mean, outside of the releases, the retirements, the catch rule, I mean, we're just getting ready for the combine, the draft.
Yep.
More off-season moves. Where's Kirk Cousins going to wind up?
Now, that was something I definitely wanted to talk about because, they alluded to this with this potential trade or potential signing for Kirk Cousins. And how it relates to how a team's going to try to go forward in the draft.
Absolutely.
And that team is the Jets. And I'm trying to figure out if we should talk about the mock draft, but it's in regards to off-season potential move, though.
Well, and that's what we were saying. So the mock drafts have quarterbacks going, top 4, top 5, but you just never know. Exactly. But you just never know because if the Jets do trade for Kirk Cousins or sign Kirk Cousins, you have Teddy Bridgewater, you have potentially Sam Bradford. I don't know. I don't feel like the Vikings are going to let all 3 of them walk. I know that they're not tagging anybody.
No.
So the Giants need a quarterback. The Giants have already said, hey, we're willing to deal the 2nd overall pick. So, I mean, they're either going to get additional pieces or they're going to get one piece. Could be Kirk Cousins. Maybe Eli's done. Maybe they deal Eli too. They might as well. I would start over.
I don't know.
I would. I would start over. I mean, if it's over, it's over. I mean, they believe they can get another 2-3 years out of him, sure. But if it's over, it's over. But if the Jets trade for Kirk Cousins or sign Kirk Cousins, they go after another need. If they don't, they have to draft another quarterback. It's true. The Giants might have to draft. The Giants might make a play for one of those quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins has beat up on the Giants for several years. Maybe they're tired of it.
If you can't beat them, have them join us.
Yeah, let's bring him in. Show Eli the door. Send Eli to the Vikings. Send Eli to the Vikings. Send Eli to
the
the Redskins. Well, the Jaguars just signed Blake Bortles. See, that would cause controversy.
Uh-huh.
That would cause too much controversy. But it might be good for Blake Bortles to have that competition, but could ruin his confidence too.
It might make him reach that upper level. He might find that glow.
Or he might become Jamarcus Russell.
Oh no!
Nah, he's already done more than Jamarcus Russell ever did.
I was about to
say. I was just kidding. He already reached a different level. I mean, just getting to where he's gotten. I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
I mean, he's been franchise tagged 3 straight years.
That's big.
That's huge for a quarterback to get franchise tagged like that.
Yeah, it is.
In fact, I don't think any other quarterback got franchise tagged like that. Starting quarterback. Let me say starting quarterback.
Not like that. No. Not like that. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm really interested to see how the rest of the offseason works out. I always love the offseason because this is where teams get a chance to basically shape their rosters.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So, I definitely know that we will continue to monitor that as well as the NBA moving as we continue. But again, keep monitoring our shows, and we just try to continue to put out new content for you. And I think it might be time to go into some final thoughts.
Yes, sir. What do you got for the people tonight?
So, I was reading Bleacher Report, and I know the one thing that popped up on my screen that I wrote down immediately. DeMar DeRozan opened up about depression and how, although people, looking from the outside in think that you're fine, a lot of times you're not fine. And, I know some people on Facebook posted it. I didn't retweet it or anything because it's just one of those things that you want to retweet, but you don't want people, you don't want the attention from it.
Yeah.
Because it's not you. You know what I mean? Like, if I was depressed, I wouldn't talk about somebody else being depressed, but I don't want to talk about somebody else being depressed because I don't want the attention because I'm sharing that he's depressed. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want that limelight for somebody else's heartache.
Yes.
But it's interesting to hear that an NBA player suffers from depression. Just like it's interesting to hear, people talk about like ADHD also, and other like dyslexia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear because, you think about these people. Yes, they're human beings, but you think, hey, these are the best athletes in the world. They made it to this league that only a certain amount of people get to. Not just the NBA, but the NFL also.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're working through these things is always pretty amazing. So hopefully DeMar DeRozan continues to get better. I'm not sure if he's seeking treatment or, I feel like every medication is banned by the league. So it's like you really can't take anything these days.
Etc. Nope, that's on the list.
Yep. You just made the list.
Wow. And I was going to make that same joke too, but I chose not to.
Nope. I did it. So my second final thought is on the Golden State Warriors deciding to skip the White House and take the kids to the African American Museum in DC. And obviously that's not huge news, but I think that could be something that the Duke might want to discuss on Duke It Out, which will definitely bring that to his attention. But of course, it's a yearly and annual tradition for Super Bowl and championship teams notably in NBA and NFL, because I feel like baseball and hockey and a lot of these other sports, they just be like, let's move on to the next season. you
Basically.
know, I don't think I ever have seen the hockey team meet with the president. I don't know if that works that way, but apparently in NFL and NBA, that's what happens. So I always find that to be interesting. And another thing that did pop up also, and of course we I didn't think we needed to talk about it, but I thought it would be ridiculous if anything stupid happens like this. But there was a Bleacher Report article that suggested that the Knicks should, I guess, questioning whether the Knicks should sign Porzingis to a massive deal. And some of the arguments were that he was injury prone and so on and so forth. So definitely want to keep monitoring that. But other than that, I think that's it for me, Sarah. What you got? Let's see what you got.
Well, something that I posted earlier today that I find very, very interesting was it was the Score Esports posted a YouTube video on the story of Justin Wong. Talking about fighting games esports, ladies and gentlemen, so bear with us. So Justin Wong, one of the legendary players of the fighting game community, or FGC, it talked about his story from when he began to, him rising up in popularity, becoming the heel, and then getting the retribution and re-love of the crowd again. It's quite an interesting read. Well, listen and watch, actually. But, get yourself a chance, catch it out on YouTube. One of the things that really caught my eye was how hard he worked. It's not even he was actually narrating it. He talked about how he was working full time and still going to competitions. He would work 5 days a week, and he'll spend his weekends flying out to tournaments and playing in tournaments all the time. And he'd done that for about 10 to 12 years straight. And it's to the point now to where, he made a lot, and, he invested correctly and wisely, that he's now sponsoring players to go to the Evolution, which is a mystery, championship series, as well as just contributing more to help grow the fighting game community as they're still rising out of the kiddie pool of the esports. But it's definitely quite a compelling watch, actually. Actually, a lot of their videos on on their YouTube channel is very intriguing. Definitely give it a check out. One of the other things that I caught on there that was interesting was talking about the pop-offs. Something that the doc really enjoyed from the videos that I showed him, where a player would win, and it's the same to all sports. A player would win against an adversary, and whether it was a really, really hard match or it became really, really easy, aka free, they would do certain things about it, and it gets the crowd hype.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the video, and it was comparing the fighting game community with League of Legends and esports, and which community has the best trash talking and the best pop-offs. They kind of didn't highlight the FGC in a way that can really show how unhumble people can be, and how uncouth they can become when it comes to delivering salt to people's wounds. One notably is, someone that we really enjoy talking about, K-Brad. He is someone who has been known to speak his piece and is very opinionated. But they only touched a small piece of what he can actually do when it comes to popping off, when it comes to talking smack. But definitely get that one checked out. The other thing I wanted to talk about, other than the increase of widespreading availability to listen to Debates Among Friends now on Google Play and on iTunes, you can catch Season 1, which is his own show, on those two platforms, and you can catch Season 2 as well, too. is the evolution of the basketball styles. Now, I put this out on the Debate Amongst Friends group page. Make sure you follow facebook.com/group/debatesamongfriends. And it was intriguing to me because it showed how the game was played when, myself and the doc was young, growing up, heading into college, versus how it's being played today. And what's notably was tall guys, they played by utilizing their height advantage. Smaller guys were basically the distributors. They cut inside to kick the ball out, creating a lot of space. And the strong, fat guys, which the whole using the fat word was kind of, I didn't really like that so much. But the strong guys, pump, fake, and power move. So basically, there was the low post presence. Nowadays, the tall guys shoot 3-pointers, the small guys shoot the 3-pointers, and the fat guys shoot the 3-pointers. And it just, and even though, people laugh about it, but when you really think about it, that's really how basketball is played now.
I think that's why, and not to cut your final thought off, I think that's why we were so, it's me. I was so happy to see the likes of like a Roy Hibbert, Kate, I think Swanigan, who went to the Trailblazers. Because you look at some of these big guys and you see them still doing work in the post. A lot of those guys now don't get a lot of burn, and it stinks because they were really, really good. Like another guy that I just think of off the top of my head who was just traded to the Pistons, Bryce Johnson, who played for UNC a couple years ago. Great back to the basket player, but if you don't shoot the three, I mean, even JaVale McGee shoot three now so that he can get some burn.
Yep. Well, either that or the only thing that you're there for, and I don't like saying this because that's how people expected me to play when I was playing back in the day, was to just grab rebounds and get blocks. That's it. Don't shoot the ball. Oh, I got an open dunk. Just kick it out. Threes. I want threes in my life.
That's terrible. Peja.
Oh my gosh. That's even worse! But it was definitely quite the icebreaker. So if you get yourself a chance, just ask someone, talk to them about, the evolution of the game of basketball. And whether or not you feel like that everyone wants to be the new Steph Curry, or should people just embrace their roles where some are Steph, some are KD, some are LeBron, and there's always going to be some Mario Chalmers who shouldn't even have a basketball.
Wow.
You like what I did there at the end?
I guess those people should become accountants.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of walked into that one.
It's all good though. It's all good. But yeah, I think that's a great thing for people to look into, and obviously we'll definitely continue to have a conversation about it because the NBA is continuing to need to change, and as the NFL changed, I think the NBA changed. Guys, again, most of them aren't big anymore.
Nope.
Most of them are pretty slim. They're thin. Like they're not as strong. I actually had a conversation, with a coworker of mine. Wow. I actually had a conversation about Brandon Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, he's so slim. Like he's so thin. He's tall, but he's thin. And she's like, oh no, he gained some weight, since he left college. And I was like, girl, he did not gain no weight. He just changed jerseys. And the Laker gold just makes him look a little bigger. But I don't think he gained no weight.
Hey, oh my gosh, it's like, hey Doc, what? Do you think this Lake Show jersey makes me look fat?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad you asked. Because I'm going to keep it real with you. It absolutely does. But yeah, that's it's interesting. Um, to a point where, like I was saying about my Rockets off stream, and this will be the last thing I say here, but we have so many forwards again.
Mm-hmm.
But the role definitions are obsolete now. They've been deleted. They've been rendered obsolete.
Written in the Death Note.
So
Shout outs to Chisel Adonis.
absolutely, Death Note. So point guards, anybody can play the point.
Everyone plays the point.
Anyone from 3 on technically could play the 5.
Yeah.
So
And they do.
And they do, you know what I mean? So it kind of gets to a point where now I know I had a conversation with another coworker who said for Duke, for example, Grayson Allen should run the point guard. I said, well, I mean, he kind of does run the point guard. Oh no, Duval gets the ball sometimes. I said, well, he kind of does run point guard sometimes. It doesn't matter.
Nope.
Point guard obsolete. Roles obsolete.
It's obsolete.
Joel Embiid can run the ball up at this point.
Yep.
So it's interesting to see.
Actually, he has.
Absolutely.
You just
He did
reminded me,
during the
like,
All-Star
yeah, he
game.
has. He did.
Yeah.
Not even during the All-Star game. I'm talking about just a regular NBA game.
And nobody would bat an eye. You wouldn't see Shaq. I mean, Shaq might have did it a few times, but I mean, people were screaming for him to give it the ball, most likely.
Well,
Not in Orlando,
okay.
but in LA.
Okay.
In Orlando, it was okay.
I was going to say that. I'm like, wait a minute. People love that.
We're rambling now, but I wish he would have stayed that size. If he wouldn't have got so big, I think he would have been he would have continued to be even more dominant. But I think the fact that he got so big, I think that limited part of his career to me. I wish he was just dominant. But I'm just rambling now. Let's God.
I just let it ride.
I love sports.
I mean, we could sit here and talk about this for the next 2 hours, but we can't because we are now at Endgame, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's track is from an artist known as Apollo Brown. The name of the track is Lower the Boom, featuring Ken Starr, Odyssey, and Serene Poems on his album The Reset, out in 2010. We put the links how to reach out to him, social media, and where you can find the songs. Make sure you support the artist. Every single artist that we play, including, big shout outs to Croup Dog for being our intro track. It's pretty much since the Beta Among Friends inception, definitely holding it down for us. But ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much for joining us tonight. Definitely try to get better every single week. Leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you're on the Twitch stream. Follow us. Subscribe to us on there as well too. Follow us on Twitter at the Bakes Monfra, TLW Ken86 respectively, Doc and Prof. Facebook.com/BakesMonkFriends. Of course, the group link is in this page as well too. Follow our Instagram as well too. We now have iTunes and we also have Google Play. So just search for Debate Amongst Friends and you can listen to us while you're driving to work. I am your host, the Professor John Gotti.
And I am Dr. Wednesday Night.
And we'll catch you again next time, ladies and gentlemen. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Peace and love.
Taste the ocean.
Lower that boom. The budget ain't low, we gon' lower that too. Show them that move. If they act like they don't know, we gon' show them that proof. Lower that boom. The budget ain't low, we gon' lower that too. Show them that move. If they act like they don't know, we gon' show them that proof.
Okay, they gave me the green light. It seemed like I'm hot as a fiend's pipe. It seemed like you the type to hate on the low. You studied my style, I created your flow. It's okay to be dope. permission granted. Cause even still, see the skill is on a different planet. I didn't plan it, it's just a gift from God. And I'm spitting hard as lifting granite with just the armor. Just a bomb like throwback slangs. Ken Starr, you should know that name. Could ask your brother, she know that name. We might get a different answer. I'm sick as cancer. I'm like a strip club's thickest dancer. The main attraction. Get your hands up. I came attacking the whackness to lift the standard up to the level where it's supposed to be at. My level, you trying to get closer to that. Supposing these cats is the reason you believe in you dope when you whack. Now sing it.
Lower that boom. The budget ain't low, we gon' lower that too. Show them that move. If they act like they don't know, we gon' show them that proof. Lower that boom. The budget ain't low, we gon' lower that too. Show them that move. If they act like they don't know, we gon' show them that proof. Dropper of the ill, dollar bill, get it like a number runner after bet. 100 sums the real percentage of how I keep it. Your money ain't on me forever, you for debt. Forever shoot the kill, and the target is the masses. And market like magic, promoting cinematics to neighborhoods of blackness. Exploitation in the form of noise making is my occupation in the industry. Awaiting a rather rude awakening. Ning like Ning makes a ding like bells to let them know the fight is on, and we gon' like rebel. Ain't nothing you can do but say is stop it what you're facing. You either run with it under or move adjacent, and we rap the pacing while you're moving like snails. I crucify your faking using music like nails. Trust me, you're rusty, you're losing, I prevail. Yeah. Lower that boom. The budget ain't low, we gon' lower that too. Show them that move. If they act like they don't know, we gon' show them that proof. Lower that boom. The budget ain't low, we gon' lower that too. Show them that move. If they act like they don't know, we gon' show them that proof.
I got a different stroll, take a different road, living in the old soul with a different tone. Not trying to break a bone, trying to break the mold, fall from fantasy. This is something you can hold. True story told, life's worth more than gold or any amount of money that you can ever fold. Beautiful and bold, feeling like Chicago cold. Country slipping while whipping goes riding on an icy road. Follow no code, sleep on them like no dose. I cherry pick them and horn flick them like mofos. Not a blood gripper cholo, mommy made me solo. We can play a pollo if you wanna act loco. Watch me go while you lust for the gold ring and Bilbo. Dancing on your squares, flying high like the dodo. Bust hard like a rifle, the truth like the Bible. Giving praise to no man or false idols.
Yeah.
Come on.
Lower that boom. The budget ain't low, we gon' lower that too. Show them that move. If they act like they don't know, we gon' show them that proof. Lower that boom. The budget ain't low, we gon' lower that too. Show them that move. If they act like they don't know, we gon' show them that proof.